Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my review for the live action How to Train Your Dragon movie. So if you follow me on Instagram, you already know my ranking, but if you don't, this video will be talking all about it. And if you have, this is just my reasonings why I gave it the score I gave it. So let's begin. First of all, I would just like it to be made very well known that the animated How to Train Your Dragon movie is probably one of my top 5 favorite movies of all time. I absolutely love that movie. Sam and I actually rewatched the 3 animated ones before we saw the live action, and we finished the first one and I literally was like 10 out of 10, no notes. I love the animated How to Train Your Dragon movie. If you don't follow me on Instagram, when we watched the other 2, I gave both the second and the third How to Train Your Dragon 7s out of 10. I did still enjoy them quite a bit, but there was just a lot of subplot in both of them that I wasn't a big fan of, specifically a lot of the snarl out subplot. We're not here to talk about those movies. We're going to talk about the new live action movie. My point with saying that the animated is one of my favorite movies of all time, I was a little nervous going into this movie. I was so excited. This was by far my most anticipated movie of the entire year. But going into it, I was a little bit nervous because if you're not aware, the animated Beauty and the Beast is my favorite movie of all time. Not even top 10, number 1. The animated Beauty and the Beast is my favorite movie of all time. With that being said, when I did see the live action Beauty and the Beast, because I love the animated one so dearly, and there's so many minuscule moments in the animated one that make the movies great for me, I was being extra critical when I did see the live action Beauty and the Beast movie because it's my favorite movie, and there's so many things about the animated movie that the live action they either didn't do or they did differently that I wasn't a fan of. I will be doing eventually a live action to animated comparison of Beauty and the Beast where I will get into way more detail about this, but I just wanted to say that because with all of that being said, I went into the live action How to Train Your Dragon movie thinking I was going to be very critical of it in the same way I was critical of the live action Beauty and the Beast. With all of that being said, I left the live action How to Train Your Dragon movie with the biggest smile on my face. I was so incredibly happy and blown away by that movie, and I could not contain myself when it came to giving that movie a 10 out of 10. I absolutely loved it. I've seen so few criticisms about this movie. One of the biggest ones I've seen was from a creator who said she found a lot of the dialogue very awkward because it was very similar, if not word for word, what they were saying in the animated. And yes, for the most part, a lot of the dialogue they are saying is directly line from the animated, but I love the animated, and so I had no problem with the dialogue being the same. That did not bother me in the slightest. Literally, the only criticism I have of this movie is that I felt like the dragons couldn't be as animated as they were in the animated version. And let me just kind of explain. In the animated, there's a lot of scenes where the dragons are making very quick movements. There's one scene in particular that I very much compared. It's the montage of Hiccup doing his dragon training, but then also spending a lot of time with Toothless, and he's learning all these different things about dragons. And one of the parts is that he shows Toothless he made a saddle, and he shows it to him, and in the animated, Toothless kind of does this very playful stance where he gets low, but he puts his rear end high up in the air and then runs away from Hiccup. That didn't happen exactly like that in the live action. And you know what? I'm just going to attest that to the fact that they were using a lot of puppets for this movie. Obviously, they did a lot of CGI for the dragons and a lot of the scenes with like dragon battles and stuff like that. But I do know that they also utilized the use of puppets. It just meant that I guess they couldn't do things as like quickly and as animatedly as they did in the animated version. But with that being said, the dragons looked amazing, and I'm okay that we didn't get those like itty bitty little like extra movements from them, because the dragons looked amazing. One thing that I loved right off the bat when I saw trailers for this movie, the dragons look like the cartoon dragon with like tiny differences. But even though they look like the cartoon dragon, they looked real. Like they looked like they could have been part of this live action Viking world. They did not look cartoony at all. Specifically the monstrous nightmare, that was probably the dragon I was like the most impressed with, besides obviously like Toothless, because Toothless is just amazing in general. I thought the way they did the monstrous nightmare was amazing. It looked so cool, and like I said, it still looked like the dragon from the animated movie. It didn't look out of place, if that makes sense. It looked like it fit in, it looked real, and the way they did, like I said, either this puppetry or the CGI was insane. Like this movie definitely deserves a nomination, if not a win, for visual effects, because the way they did these dragons, like they looked real, and especially a lot of Mason Thames interactions with Toothless looked real. It looked like he was playing with a dragon. There's a lot of scenes where Toothless is like right in Hiccup's face and they're playing together, and it just looks so real. Or he's petting him and it looks like he's petting like a real thing. It doesn't look like he's petting like a tennis ball or anything like that. They did such an incredible job with the visuals in this movie. Speaking of Mason Thames, let's talk about the casting in this movie, which was insanely good. I loved every single actor that they chose for this movie. Obviously, the only returning character from the animated was Gerard Butler as Stoic. That made me happy that that was him returning for that role. Gerard Butler has said that he loved voicing Stoic. He loves those movies, and to actually be able to not just like be this character in voice, but completely and totally embody this character was such an incredible experience for him. And he was amazing as Stoic, as like obviously he's gonna be, because he is Stoic. And then Nick Frost played Gobber, and you could just tell that the two of them were just having a blast and a half on the set of this movie, and they were having so much fun in their roles, and they were doing such a great job. I absolutely loved Nico Parker's portrayal of Astrid. I thought she did a phenomenal job, and I loved Astrid in this movie. One thing I really loved about her is that we got so much more depth to her character. I feel like in the animated movie, she obviously like doesn't like Hiccup because he's such a screw up, and because she wants to like be like the top in dragon killing and stuff like that. And then Hiccup just kind of shows up after being a screw up for all of his life and is all of a sudden just like this like dragon whisperer. So she just doesn't like him because of that. But in this one, you actually get to see her being really jealous of him because she's come from nothing and her family had to struggle, and she's working so hard to be the ultimate dragon slayer. And she just sees Hiccup, who's the son of the chief, who again screws up constantly, but he just kind of gets away with it because he's the chief's son. And she thinks that's so unfair. And if any of the other kids had screwed up the way Hiccup had screwed up, like they would have been in so much trouble. They would have been, they never say, but like potentially like banished from birth. I think they do say if I had done that, like I would have been sent off on a ship or something like that. Like something is said to that extent, but she makes a comment basically saying must be nice to be the son of the chief, implying that he gets away with everything because he's the son of the chief. And so I really liked all this like extra depth we got to Astrid. And also we kind of learn that a lot of the things she's done, she does it because she wants Stoic to be proud of her and to like her rather than basically Hiccup. There is a scene that they've changed the dialogue from the animated where Hiccup tells her not to interfere with something because he knows if she does that Stoic is going to lose all the respect he has for her, and he does, and that is definitely seen in that particular scene. And I just loved Astrid in this movie. I just thought we got way more character development from Astrid in this movie than we did in the last one. And that's not to say I didn't like Astrid in the animated movie. I very much did like Astrid in the animated movie. I just liked her so much more in this one. And now Mason Thames. Oh my goodness. I have so much to say about Mason Thames as Hiccup in this movie. First of all, I didn't realize until they were doing like promos and stuff for this movie, but Mason Thames' first role ever in a movie, he was in like some TV show episodes, but his first movie role was The Black Phone from a few years ago with Ethan Hawke, and he was like 13 in that movie. I haven't watched that movie in a while, but I do plan on rewatching it before The Black Phone 2 comes out. But I just think about that movie, and he did such an incredible job in that movie, and that's a hard role to play, like what he did in The Black Phone. Like, that is not an easy role, let alone for a 13-year-old, and he just knocked it out of the park. I knew I was going to like him as Hiccup the moment it was announced, but actually getting to see him do it, he did such an incredible job. And another thing, I'm not going to say names or anything, but there's been particular actors out there who have portrayed iconic roles, either from older movies or things like that, that really just kind of, in a way, like didn't appreciate this character that they were portraying, whether that was them shitting on that original character and saying how things that they did weren't the best kind of a deal. I'm going to be vague. I'm not going to say who I'm talking about, but I'm sure you can figure out who I'm talking about. And there was so much promotion of Mason Thames saying how it was such an honor to play Hiccup, and that the moment he saw himself in Hiccup's clothing, he got emotional and almost teared up because he himself grew up with the How to Train Your Dragon movies, and they meant so much to him. And the fact that he gets to portray that character meant so much to him. And I am so happy that he got that role because he absolutely killed it. And he is doing amazing things. I am so excited for The Black Phone 2. And he did so good as Hiccup. Like, when I think of Hiccup, one of the things I do think about that was lacking in this movie is Hiccup's iconic voice that Jay Baruchel did in the animated. Obviously, Jay Baruchel cannot play this character because Jay Baruchel is, I think, in his late 40s. Hiccup is like 15, 16 years old. So obviously he cannot portray Hiccup. I also saw a video of Jay Baruchel handing a Viking helmet to Mason Thames, which I just thought was adorable. It was very similar to like the part in the live action Little Mermaid movie where Jodie Benson plays a character handing a fork or a dingle hopper to Ariel and basically like passing her the torch. So I thought that was very cute that they did that for promo and stuff. And I would have loved to have a Jay Baruchel cameo in this movie. We did not get one, and that's okay. I am okay with that, but I thought that would have been really cool if that would have happened. But either way, Mason Thames did insanely amazing as Hiccup. He was so awesome in this role, and I've already seen on IMDb that he is already casted to play Hiccup in a live action How to Train Your Dragon 2. There was nothing really about it except all it said was like How to Train Your Dragon 2 2027 with Mason Thames and Gerard Butler. That's all that I saw. There was nothing else there. So to even say that that is a confirmation we're getting that movie is not really. But if that does actually happen, you know I am going to be there opening night just like I was for this one, because I love these movies. I think they're so good. Yes, I only gave 2 and 3 a 7 out of 10, but that doesn't mean I didn't like them. I still very much enjoyed them. And this movie was so good. One of the biggest things I've been seeing about this movie from reviewers is people saying, if you are going to continue doing live action remakes, this is the way to do it. And I couldn't agree more. I loved this movie. I thought it was an insanely amazing live action remake from such an iconic film, and I loved it, and I can't wait to see it again. I saw it with Sam, but I do have plans to go see it with my sister and her kids, and I can't wait for this to come out on DVD and rewatch it on 4K just over and over and over again alongside the animated one, because I love them both so much. I gave them both a 10 out of 10. At the end of the day, if I had to pick a favorite, it would probably be the animated, just because that movie has so much nostalgia for me. But with that being said, I still absolutely loved this live action. Literally, I was sitting there thinking like, okay, I can't give this a 10 out of 10. I can't. And then I was like, I can though. And it deserves one, in my opinion. So yeah. Anyway, was that everything I wanted to cover? I had some notes. Yeah, that's everything I wanted to talk about. I love this movie so freaking much. I will definitely go see it again in theaters, and I will definitely buy it and rewatch the heck out of it. That is going to be it for now. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, I would love it if you would like and subscribe. I post new videos every single Friday, and I would love to have you here. Thank you so much for watching. I will talk to you later. Bye, everybody.